though.
Cool.
Watcher,
Right on.
hold on, Watcher. I got a take, and I want to see if you agree with it. I think you will. I say that gangster rap is a psyop. Do you agree?
No, I disagree.
Okay, so the reason why I say it's a psyop is that when it comes down to the same points that you were making, right? The Public Enemies, the Queen Latifahs, X Clan, Tribe Called Quest, all of these people who are making music that was relatively overall positive and stuff like that. That is when black music was owned by black people by and large. Like we controlled what was being listened to, et cetera, et cetera. And then in the early 90s, right? NWA hits the scene and shit like that, and we already know who backed them and like as far as the suits that and the executives that pushed them, right? And ever since then, the balance of conscious rap or social commentary rap and stuff like that fell to the wayside, and gangster rap had a rise. And then when you look at the record labels having being in bed with the private prisons, and then of course the school to prison pipeline and all of that shit, that for me outside looking, well, not even outside looking in, for me looking around and seeing what's going on in the erosion of the culture that you're talking about, this has to be a concerted effort. Because if it was up to black Americans only, I do not believe gangster rap will be the number one subgenre inside of hip hop. Absolutely
Yeah,
disagree with
I think that every time you say that, I hate that take more and more because like
that.
one thing that white people never consider in any aspect is our ability to turn shit to sugar. They never consider that. And so with the systematic oppression and racism,
That's a bar.
with the all the things that they do in our community, they never thought that these motherfuckers is so creative that they can be able to speak about what we're doing to them in a fashion and that the whole world will love and enjoy. And that's what happened. It wasn't, oh, let's fuck them
is
up.
this
And
is
then
this
we
your
know that
description
they're
of
going to
gangster
be
rap?
able to
Hold
turn
on, hold
rap
on.
into something amazing. No, that didn't happen. All of that shit happened, and we're so creative and great and awesome that we turn that shit into something that we can benefit. Now, did they steal it like they steal everything else when it comes to executives and boardrooms and labels and creating a structure and where they're benefiting the most? Yes, they also do that all the time. But no, what gangster rap is not a psyop. It's niggas that's living in fuck shit, and the only way that they can speak about it and get
It's to
their
be a
voice heard is
criminal.
to do this.
It's to
The
push
Well,
Lord
hold on.
secrets
Well,
it's
hold
to
on.
revealed
push
Well,
in
hold on. I have a
criminality.
question. I have a question.
That's what
I have
you
a question.
hold on, Rasheem. Hold on, hold on.
Got me crying to
So
be a criminal.
so again, I just
Yeah.
listed all of these
Hmm.
artists. Every last one of those artists come from the ghetto, Rashad. They lived in abject poverty. Okay, New Jersey, New York, all these different places around the country. They lived in the ghetto, surrounded by all of the same dangers and everything like that that you're talking about, and rapped about positivity. They rapped about uniting amongst Black Americans. They rapped about, getting knowledge of self and all that other shit while being in the ghetto. And so when you are describing what you're describing, you're not describing gangster rap, nigga. You're describing hip hop in general. I'm talking
But
about destructive music. I'm talking about music that has been the soundtrack for when I was outside doing all of the crime that I was committing, nigga. I was not listening to X Clan
to
or Tribe Called
calming.
Quest, nigga. I was listening to G Unit, D Block, Dipset, Rockefeller, and all types of niggas as my theme music for the crimes that I was committing. That's what I'm
Theme
saying.
music. What? So now gangster rap is theme
all right. Well,
music.
I guess you kind of answer my question then, because
Yes.
I was gonna, cause I was gonna.
Criminality
Yo,
theme music.
Hold on.
hold on, Rasheem. Goddamn, this is my
You
last
took a
bar. Then you
pause. I
can
thought you were
speak.
done. Sorry.
My fault, my fault. Kenya, to your point, absolutely the theme music. That was my background music. There's this song by 50 Cent on the Get Rich or Die Trying soundtrack called Whip Your Head, right? And it says two
Fire.
niggas in the front, two niggas in the back. That's four niggas riding strap in grandpa's Cadillac. Nigga, guess when I played that song the most? When it was me and three of my niggas inside of a stolen car, and we about to get into some super gangster shit, cause it's like, oh yeah, he's describing what the fuck what we getting into right now. Absolutely. Niggas wasn't putting on Lena Horne, you know what I'm saying, or Billie Holiday when we was getting into the shit we was
But you
getting
know
into.
what?
Lean on horns,
What's
creep.
the truth of the matter is some niggas is Trey, some niggas is Doughboy. Right? We are in the same space, but we are reacting differently to how we're processing it. We have different upbringings. Doughboy mama crazy as a motherfucker. Trey daddy on some structure, be a man type shit. But we are in the same space. How we process that and express that, I don't think that it's fair to look down on a nigga who
Nigga, Doughboy died at the end of the
true.
movie.
He
He
did,
died, nigga. What the fuck?
but what I'm saying is,
He said, "Don't look down
what
on
I'm
yourself."
saying is how they process these things is going to be inherently different because of a variety of factors. And so when you
Rashad,
say,
Doughboy
Education,
died a week
factors
later.
like what?
What
Wait,
you're saying
where
is,
was Langston Hughes
no,
from?
hold on.
Where
What you're
was
saying is that
was
these
that the
niggas
slums?
that
Was Harlem the slums, nigga?
Public Enemy grew up in the hood. Oh, okay, so what? They processed it differently. You can't get mad at a nigga who grew up in that same hood and is angry and is and upset and then seeing a whole lot of fuck shit, seeing folks getting killed, seeing folks, handling things different ways. You can't get mad at a nigga for saying this is what I seen and I'm tired of this shit and this shit is bullshit. If my
Yes, you
brother got
can,
killed
nigga.
in
What the
front of
fuck
me,
are you
I would
talking
be
about? This
upset.
nigga knocked over a convenience store because he was
Fam,
angry? Fuck you.
I'm not getting on no fight the power shit after my brother got shot in the motherfucking back and I gotta carry him to my mama house.
I,
I'm not on no
I
fight
think
the power shit.
I think we get too deep. Hold on. I think we get too deep into another conversation because I was gonna ask Hotep and you kind of already answered it, but excuse me. Look, when I think of like Mobb Deep, right? When I think of like you mentioned 50 Cent, even Jay-Z, right? Yeah, they could be labeled gangster rappers, right? But they are also very good hip hop artists, rappers, right? So, I think they did a beautiful job of telling their story. And I think it kind of goes back to what we were saying about Kendrick. I think it also kind of showed like how they're kind of expressing their duality as a person, right? So, it even goes back to what I was saying earlier, right? When Watch was talking about, jazz music and all this stuff. And when I mentioned the ancestors, I'm not trying to disrespect the ancestors, but the point I'm trying to say is we as black people, we're not always going to be the same thing all the time. We're not a monolith, right? So isn't it okay to tell your story? And I think, again, some people can do it better, right? I think, Jay-Z does it better than Chief Keef, right? But they're still like, could be labeled gangster rappers. But it's
That
also
doesn't
okay to like,
invalidate Chief Keef.
no, I get that. But I think people get
No,
stuck. 'Cause I think,
and let me say on the record, I think gangster rap has its place. I'm saying that if it was up to black Americans, gangster rap would not be the premier subgenre of hip hop. That's what I stand on. I think that it would have been the complete opposite, complete 180 of what we seeing now. We would have had a predominance of the conscious, dope ass raps and shit like that. And then we have this subgenre of gangster raps who get into this shit, just like horrorcore or just like any of these other subgenres of hip hop. I'm not saying gangster rap shouldn't exist. I'm saying gangster rap shouldn't be the premier subgenre of hip hop that is
all
being
right,
blasted out to millions upon millions of fucking kids. That's what I'm saying.
all right. But it's not now though. Well, see, but you don't agree this now though.
Yeah, nigga, what? Yes, absolutely happening right now. Now, of course, Kanye
Who's the
came
time?
through.
Yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
Kanye came through, yeah. Kanye came through and he ushered in a lot of the, non-gangster rappers and shit like that. My favorite artist is not a gangster rapper at all. He was one of those niggas that was around it, but he don't promote any of that shit. He talk about getting money, owning businesses and getting, all that type of shit. So there's obviously a different, big names out there like your J. Cole's not a gangster rapper. Drake, even though I'm not a huge fan of him, he's not a gangster rapper and shit like that. I wouldn't even consider Kendrick a gangster rapper anyway either because I got in tune with Kendrick on Overly Dedicated years ago. And he got these songs like Average Joe and all this other shit. When he's saying like, yo, I grew up in the Pyru neighborhood, but I'm not Pyru. I'm just letting y'all know what my
Yeah.
experience was to Rashad's point. I'm just giving y'all what my life was like. That's what Good Kid, Mad City is. I'm not promoting gang violence, but nigga, goddamn it,
Right.
my life is my life, nigga. I'm not gonna lie to y'all. So I get that. I'm just saying that when it comes down to the actual promotion of destructive behaviors in rap, right? We would not have put that at the forefront. That's what I'm saying. Because even when you're talking about jazz, that dirty blues shit was not the huge genre that it was. That was a subgenre inside of the blues. You had to go to specific spots to play Lucille Bogan or Bo Carter or any of these other artists that was making that vulgar blues music. That shit wasn't on the radio, nigga. You had to go to a specific juke joint or a specific speakeasy to listen to that type of shit.
Yeah, I don't agree. I think from the inception of rap, the people who we call the forefathers, when you think about obviously the quality is a difference, but what they were talking about or what they were insinuating was still on the level of street shit, being in the hood and getting their bars off that way. I think that people saw an opportunity to monetize, as far as the executives, like I said, and so they took that opportunity. But what we like to listen to the most was still to the likes of a Big Daddy Kane, was still what's to do with the fake nose, do the Humpty Hump, right? Those were, we got the Rakims, we got all these folks throughout history, and where rap's inception, this was in the
I just
forefront.
want you to know that you didn't list any gangster rappers just now. I
No,
just want to let
no,
you
no, no,
know
no, no, no.
that.
I'm not saying gangster as in I'm gonna shoot 'em up, kill, but I'm saying we still talking about hood shit. We still talking about our life in a way and giving a level of aggression, giving a play by play of what's happening, and it evolved because, in my opinion, it evolved because niggas got in the game and they was angry. When you listen to an NWA, niggas was mad and upset. When you listen to Tupac, niggas is mad and upset about what's going on in the hood. So y'all niggas can tiptoe and tap dance and y'all can give y'all rendition. But the more that people started that's why they call it quote unquote real, right? Because niggas was actually saying what was actually going on and not being filtered. I think people respect that more than anything because being real in rap is probably up there with the highest thing you can be called. And so
Well,
if you want to
again,
look at
so
that
my
as like
my
a
whole thing.
detriment, it's not.
But the thing is, though, my direct response to that is you jumping back and forth. So the Public Enemies grew up in the hood and shit like that, or De La Souls, whatever. All these different guys who are not necessarily, talking about negative shit or destructive shit. They're coming up in these areas, and the enemy, quote unquote, was the government, was the system, fight the powers that be, all of that shit. You are now conflating those artists with artists who are like, the enemy is the nigga down the street from me. The enemy
Because
is
they
the nigga
were in
in
a lot
different
of
colors than me.
instances. They were. They
And what
were.
I'm saying to you is, Rashad, I get what's going on, nigga. You know where I grew up at. So I'm not sitting here saying I don't understand the ghetto, nigga. I grew up in the ghetto. What I'm trying to tell you is that if we're going to have an influential genre of music, okay, I think the music shouldn't be like, hey, man, I too, as an artist, get into this blood and crip shit. I too get into this gangster shit to where I'm willing to kill somebody who looks just like me over turf, over money, over women. I don't think that's a good message, Rashad.
Yeah, what I'm saying is a lot of these niggas was Bloods and Crips before they even picked up a mic. And so once again, we talking about authenticity and quote unquote real. I was that before I started rapping. And so once I start
Wait, you was a
rapping,
gangster?
huh?
You
Oh,
were gang banging?
you talking about proverbial
No, I'm
eye.
not talking about
Okay.
me.
You
Okay.
was
Yeah.
Fuck,
walking
y'all
me.
niggas is crazy. No, I'm not talking
Your
You
about
were
2 ounces
me.
gang.
don't put you in the league, nigga.
I'm saying
Couple
proverbially,
ounces to throw in the
these
feed.
niggas were that before they started rapping. And so now that I'm rapping, I'm gonna put it down. Now that I'm rapping, all the experiences that I had doing this gangbang shit, don't talk about. Like, what is there for me to talk
No,
about
no,
then?
no. You could do it like Hove. You could talk about all of the days you used to sell cocaine. But I don't, what I'm saying? I don't think, again, I think that to Rasheem's point, ugh. But to Rasheem's point,
Wow.
to Rasheem's point, when it comes down to artistry, right? Being able to, let people know what your life was like, nigga. If I sold coke in Brooklyn, you feel me? I sold coke in Brooklyn. That's what the fuck I'm gonna talk about. But like, you can't tell me, and I tell people this shit all of the time, like, just look at the time. Hove has been rich longer than he's been poor in his life. Hove is 50 something. He's been rich for what, 30, 40 years now? Well, not would say 40, but yeah, about 30 years now. So
But
he's
he's one that made it out because guess what? Guess what helped finance his first album? Right? He's saying, thank God I didn't get caught. Right? But at the end of the day, he still was in it. And so he's the one that made it. And then obviously, his growth and progression and his amazing artistry got him into the
Hove
position.
did that, so hopefully you wouldn't have to
Yeah,
go
but
through that.
but
That's what he
but
said.
even in the inception of who he is, when we first heard Reasonable Doubt, he was still in it, and he was still talking about it. Now, did he do it in a way that was opposite of like Rasheem brought up the Chief Keef? He didn't, start talking about it that way, but he still was talking about the life that he was living. Now, was he repping sets? No, but still, he was doing it and he made it out. I think it's unfair to look at the guys that are rough around the edges, like a Chief Keef or like anybody else that y'all feel like is not on the rapping level of Jay-Z, and look at them in a way and where it's like negative, and then try to hold Hove up when we know how Reasonable Doubt was funded. We know how he was making money. We hear his lyrics, but Jay-Z different. No, he's not. He's just more polished.
So he is
That's
different,
unfair.
nigga. You're talking about artistry, and I get it. Trust me, there are kids right now, you know what I'm saying, or kids back then, right? In 2012, when Chief Keef started popping and shit like that, who relate to what Chief Keef is saying. I get what you're saying, but what I'm saying is if we're going to zoom out a little bit and see that gangster rap has negatively affected the culture, we can't act like it didn't. You dig what I'm saying? Like we have to, be honest about that. There are kids who right now and I know it sounds crazy because I'm parents first. You already know accountability all the way. So, I'm not about to blame music for criminality. That's not what I'm saying, but I am going to put some responsibility, not fault, but responsibility on the content of the music that is encouraging and promoting that type of behavior, Rashad. Like that. I mean, I'm not being
I,
hypocritical here.
Yeah, that's
I
unfair.
get it.
That's
Yeah,
unfair.
yeah, I do think it's a little unfair because I do get what you're saying. Because look, I remember Garrett to That Train was well, no, first I bought Blueprint, and then I bought Garrett to That Train. So that's the second album I ever bought. But when I heard Garrett to That Train, yeah, I get it, are the gangster rap undertones, but I also just heard someone who's just like trying to be famous and not take no shit. You know what I'm saying? So I think also, I don't know, at the end of the day, it's an art form, right? It is an art form at the end of the day. And I think it's kind of unfair, even though I do get what they're saying, I think it's kind of unfair just to kind of label it as like negative gangster rap music when it also could be perceived a certain way. And also the point that I want to make too is I also hate that because ever since the inception of hip hop, the gangster rap become super, super popular, yes. But we also had many artists who just wasn't on that type of time. We're also still very successful. You know what I'm saying? Like, I didn't want to say the super conscious rappers, but I don't know. Like
I think
Q-Tips
it's
was doing this
unfair.
thing.
That's just like a nigga saying, "Oh, McDonald's made me fat." No, it did not. Your ass keep pulling up to the
Yeah, I agree.
drive-through, right? And
Yeah.
so to say any type of responsibility, because we don't say, "Oh, well, my kid watched American Gangster, so now he want to be a," or my kid plays Call of Duty all the time, so now he didn't shut up. Like, no, like all of that
I
shit is
mean, though,
ridiculous.
everything that you just listed has absolutely made it to mainstream
Yes, and
news, my nigga.
and it should be looked, and all of it, every time it's said, it's looked at as ridiculous by the vast majority. And so I think that
And
this narrative of, well, the gangster rap has somehow, no, it should be looked at as ridiculous by the mass majority as well. That's all I'm saying.
okay, so to your McDonald's point, right? Yes, you have all of the autonomy and agency and accountability to never ever go inside of a McDonald's, right? But then on the other side of that, which I agree with, Rashad, first of all, but on the other side of that, you do have billboards everywhere. You got commercials everywhere. You got American advertising companies telling you, gorge yourself on this fucking food. And you know what happens, Rashad? By and large, of the American population, I think everybody on stage has had McDonald's before. So again, even in that analogy that you're using, the power of the power of advertising and all these different type of things that push these types of things. We can agree that McDonald's is not the healthiest food; it's actually unhealthy for you. It's bad for you, right? And there's financial incentive to be able to push that shit and sell as many burgers and McDoubles or whatever the fuck it is, as much as possible because, profit is the pursuit. So I don't know why you don't think that's the same thing when it comes down to all of these major record labels having shares in private prisons and then having agreements that, hey, private prisons, I don't know if y'all know, but private prisons have to maintain a 90% occupancy inside of their prisons. So that's out of 10 beds, you need to have 9 people on it. And so they're doing these things just like McDonald's is trying to sell as many burgers as possible. Private prisons are trying to fill up as many beds as possible. And if we can do that through the music, if we can encourage that, influence that through the music, promote that through the music, that's what the fuck we're going to do, Rashad. That's what I'm trying to tell you.
Yeah, I think it's just one sided because nobody takes into account how many lives how many lives that changed for the better. We only
Yeah,
look
that's
at the
not that's
fucking.
not gangster rap.
No,
That's
no,
not
no. But
gangster
what I'm
rap.
saying, that's why I think it's ridiculous to blame music because we're blaming music for all of the negative. But then when somebody's life is changed or somebody has new perspective or new understanding or pursuing something other than crime, because a lot of times the music is taking niggas out the street. We don't take into account the positive. We only look at, oh, somebody said shoot 'em up, bang bang. And so now that has a negative impact as opposed to somebody promoting positivity and we attribute it, the good things to music as well. Go ahead,
I do though. I do.
go ahead, McGotti. What's the word? How you feeling?
Shit, I'm alright. I just wanted to say that I don't think it's fair to blame hip hop for the affairs of the community. I feel like it's just so much a result of the conditions that, like, shit, if niggas didn't have an outlet for it, what else would they do? You know what I'm saying? Like, this shit is dark and it's rough and it's government funded. So it's like, how the fuck y'all think all them guns and rocket launchers made it to Chicago? It ain't no fucking accident. You dig what I'm saying?
Yeah, I think that we have to take all of that into account. And then also, um, it is taking niggas off the street by, when they're doing this. Now, do they dibble and dabble at first? Yes, because music is expensive. I don't know if y'all know, but for the most part, these niggas ain't doing that no more. And then even when they get into the rap game, what's the message that we preach? You can't be 1 foot in, 1 foot out. Either you an artist or you're a street nigga. So even it's encouraged when niggas start making money for real, get your ass up off the street. So I think that all of that plays into, the influence of rap and hip hop that we don't take into account, other than, oh, they talking about shooting and killing, and niggas is out here shooting and killing. So let's put it on something. Let's put it on music, right? As opposed to, these niggas out here with this grunge rock and all this other degenerate ass shit, and I don't see the vitriol when it comes to, whatever activities they got over there in other cultures, and people blaming it on that. Hip hop is
Rashad,
so
when
front
have you ever
facing.
been in a circle when motherfuckers is talking about country music? Because country music is some of the most degenerate music out there. So this is what I'm saying, dog. They have these conversations, and we have to. I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to grandstand. But what I think should happen is that when we're actually having a conversation about hip hop, we should just talk about hip hop, gang. Like, we don't have to agree on everything, but trying to compare it to other genres of music where all of those different rock genres that you're talking about and country music have all been scrutinized in the same way,
They're
gang.
not
Like, it
getting on
had.
Fox
Yeah,
News
but
and
it's not.
CNN.
Yeah, it's not
Hold
that
on.
bad.
They're not breaking CDs in the street in war against country music. They're not doing those things. So yes, do
Well,
people
shout out to
hold,
the morality of Black Americans, because
hold on.
that's how we are.
But what I'm saying is, because it wasn't even black folks, it was white folks that was on it too. Like, what I'm saying is, because our shit always is so front facing, because we do everything the fucking best, it's easy to point out that shit. So when we talking about a big X the plug, he has heard white folks and other people saying that hip hop is shit and being a rapper is low bar, low vibrational, that the only way that you can be to the level and fulfill your potential is to be attached to white folks, with the full understanding that hip hop and rap is the most consumed genre. That is fucking crazy. So what I'm saying is, all of this shit is a play. All of it's a play. And it's nasty because we have understood how to take the worst and make it the best. And every time they do, you stayed with the watermelon hotel, niggas was selling watermelon out the wazoo, so they started making caricatures. This is the same thing with rap. Niggas is making money out the motherfucking wazoo, so now we got to figure out a way to shoot it down and make it crazy and make it degenerate. And at the end of the day, it is taking niggas out the street. It is influencing people to have better lives. We never looking at the positive. We only looking at the niggas who talking about shooting, and now we want to attribute all crime in Black America to motherfucking Chief Keef's 16-year-old ass standing on a table in his mama house. That shit ain't fair.
No, that's not what I'm doing, and I don't think that I've said that. I would never put all crime at the feet of a genre of music of any kind. That's
No, I'm not
absolutely
saying that
asinine.
you, I'm not saying that you, but those narratives do exist, right? Because literally they're putting rap music in the faces of these artists on national syndicated news shows day in and day out, putting faces on these goddamn publications and saying, look what this music and these people are doing to their own communities. And that's fucked up.
Well, listen, Rashad, I think you're more, this is the thing. We've had this conversation before. I think you're more mad at, somebody putting a microscope or a camera on this shit and being like, yo, this is the conclusions that I'm coming to based upon the shit that I've observed. And it may be off base and shit like that. And so now you want to attack those people who are operating in ignorance. And what I'm saying, I'm not doing that. And I'm not operating under ignorance. I listen to gangster rap. I'm not going to sit here and act like I didn't. But what I'm saying to you is, when you're saying, hey, gangster rap, pretty much made, an opportunity for these former gangsters to get into the music business and be able to be musicians and no longer have to be criminals. And I agree with you. I am also saying to you, as an influential child in the early 2000s, that Beanie Siegel and State Property, Dipset, and all these other people were literally jazzing me up, pause, to fucking go out and commit the crimes that I was doing. Was I going to commit that crime regardless? More probably, who knows? But what I'm saying is, for sure, when it comes down to the influence of the music and shit like that, gang, like, I'm not about to sit here and act like there wasn't any influence, because if it wasn't any influence, it wouldn't be the most listened to genre or the number one genre in the world. You can't have it. You can't, it's what I say when it comes to power and responsibility. You can't have all of the power of influence and shit like that from the music that you put out and then not want any of the responsibility of what may happen as a result of you listening to that music on a continual basis. That's a thing. You can do both.
But what I will say too, though, right? And look,
I smoked
yes,
you,
those
Rasheem.
ever.
I smoked you, gang.
No,
Just
look, I'm about to get you. Hold on.
Nigga didn't even start
No,
cooking yet.
no, because like I had to process a little bit. Y'all know me, I take long stuff. Well, I'm not gonna do that. No, 'cause I get what Hotep's saying, right? But at the end of the day, like, because I remember, like, crime always existed, right? Like, crime always existed. So yeah, so was Hotep getting amped and bumping "I whoop your head, boy" before he could go do some shit? I get that, but criminals still did crime to fucking probably Al Green and shit back in the day, or Otis Redding, or what the fuck's name is Superfly. Can't
That
remember
was
his name,
West
whatever.
Coast.
But
That was the West Coast.
You talking about Curtis Mayfield?
I'm your
Curtis
Curtis
daddy.
Mayfield,
Mayfield?
yeah,
I'm
thank
your
you.
daddy.
You know what I'm saying? So yeah. So I don't know. I get what you're saying, man.
That
Because
was
I was gonna
nasty,
say,
Rashad. That was nasty. I heard you, nigga.
because I was gonna say right. Because Hotep, would you say DMX is a gangster rapper? Because again, I just saw him as someone who's trying to make it right, and I went to all. I'm talking about my traumas and all that shit. You know what I'm saying? So it's
And you know what I love about this argument? Y'all niggas keep naming niggas from the 90s who did not continue to commit crime after well, DMX did, cause he was wilding. Like, DMX had a drug problem, so that was a little bit different. But like the Nas's, the Jay-Z's, all of these niggas, they made their first album and never looked back. Them niggas, shit, I don't even remember. I think the last time I remember Hov going to Brooklyn was when he did that interview with
uh,
Oprah, like
But
damn near
but
20
what
years
I'm
ago.
saying, Hotep, is
no, but the argument.
that is
Yeah, go.
incentivized in hip hop. And where once you start making money, get your dumb ass out the street. That's an incentive, and we all say it. Every nigga who get in trouble after we perceive them to be rich, we say how stupid you are and why the fuck you in the street.
So
Yeah, again, yeah.
what I'm saying to you is that when it comes down to now, right? Watcher was talking about the erosion, right? So yeah, the Jay-Z's, Nas, all of those guys who come from a different era, they come from the late 60s and shit like that. They grow up and do the things that they did, right? Now we have people that would be their age. Hove was 26 when he dropped his first album. So we look at the average 21 to 26-year-old or, 31-year-old and shit like that. A lot of these little niggas is 100% criminals who rap instead of rappers who did crime previously. These niggas is dead ass 1 foot in, 1 foot out, and we're seeing more and more of that on the gangster side of it. And there's entire subreddits dedicated to it. There's Instagram pages dedicated to it. Now we're tallying and keeping score on who killed who. This crew got more bodies than their enemies, and you got a bunch of nerds in Iowa sitting there debating about who's more gangster and shit based upon real crime that's happening, real murders, real death going on, my nigga. So it's two different things. And I do, to Watcher's point, it does come from that era of the 90s, the golden age and all the other shit. It was the precursor to this shit that we're dealing with now.
Go ahead, Rasheem, and we're gonna wrap this one up.
Yeah, I get it. I just think it's hard. I think we have to look at it in a full scope. And again, I think it's because what I hate is people are going to hear that and see that and just be like, okay, this is what's causing this. Because like I said, I think that's how we perceive it. You know, again, when I to go back what I said, when I would hear, DMX, when I would hear, now I'm trying to think about who's like the most gangster rapper I've ever heard of. Because now I'm trying to feel like I just heard people telling stories. Yes, with a lot of it about just shooting up and blah 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 all this stuff. Yeah, but I still just heard people telling stories, right? So at the end of the day, are people gonna listen to that and then have that motivate them to do some fuck shit? Yes, it's possible. But at the end of the day, I just see them and hear them as artists. So, you know, I yeah, I think it's at the end of the day, I think the environment is also what's causing crime, right? And like ignorance, like low self esteem, all of that stuff. Can I fully put it on the music? No. And the going to blame the music, I just think that's kind of a half-based argument. I think we just gotta hear people tell the stories, and I also think it's okay to perceive it or look at it in a different way. That's all. So,
Come on now, let's go. Let's wake it up for these motherfuckers, man. Rasheem is back for you right now. Don't talk to me right now while this song is playing. I might do something to you, nigga. I'm being influenced.
I whoop your head, boy.
Yeah, son, I'm being influenced to do something bad right now. Let's get it. I want to commit some crimes.
Niggas in the back. I should rob all these niggas.
I should rob all these niggas, Rashad.
Let's ride around, find a nigga stunting off on the street with the shines on. Niggas be looking like me.
Man, we got to get to it. I appreciate y'all in this motherfucker, man. This has been another episode of Things of That Nature. Episode 223. Repost the space. Subscribe to the Patreon. Episode 7 of the Nature of Things podcast is out right now. Crazy takes, unhinged takes, quality content, to say the least. Subscribe to the Patreon. We got a free tier. We got a $5 tier. The $5 tier has all 223 spaces on there. If you want to play this space back, go ahead to the Patreon and subscribe. If you want to view the podcast, go ahead to the Patreon and subscribe. I dropped a clip. Kenya encouraging women to have work husbands. Very, very nasty. More clips coming. More quality content coming. I definitely appreciate all y'all support, man. It never goes unnoticed. All the DMs, all the ats, all the follows, all the well wishes. Fists in the air for everybody who reached out, man. I definitely appreciate it, and we're gonna continue to produce this quality motherfucking content. We are back on Sunday at 12 p.m. until the next episode. We out.